Alright, so I started this project of watching all Star Wars media, and I've just started one of the GOATs called The Clone Wars. Now, I think we all know that The Clone Wars is the undisputed GOAT for animations, alright? Now, there's some close ones, Arcane exists, Invincible exists, but Clone Wars is just the GOAT. We know this. So why did I start this? Because I'm a psychopath, and I just kind of wanted to watch some good Star Wars content. Um, or I guess all the Star Wars content, so I can be very knowledgeable when people start yapping about bullshit like Acolyte being good, or the Book of Boba Fett being the greatest show they've ever watched. Once I start smelling that horse shit, I can be like, nah, you gotta watch the Clone Wars. You know what I mean? You gotta watch some actual good things like the prequels. But in all seriousness, I did want to start watching the Clone Wars, and now that I have, I'm gonna be doing something a little interesting, something I don't see a lot of people doing. Maybe they just don't have the grind in them. But I'm gonna be reviewing all the Clone Wars episodes. Now, what does that mean? Now, most of the Clone Wars episodes are, in a way, filler, where there's just a lot of not a lot of nothing, just not a lot of perfection, I guess we can say, especially in the early stages, just where there's a lot of episodes where not a whole lot goes on other than the main plot. But I can start with the first 5 episodes I've watched, but I'm going to review them probably in chunks of 4 if I feel the need to, review a main episode because it was just that good, like episode 5 Rookies. That one will probably make its own video, but I think I'll probably do them in chunks of 4. After I watch an episode, I'll just write down a little bit of things here and there, and then move on from there. But I just want to get started off with last Star Wars media I watched was Rogue One, and then I went instantly into the Clone Wars because I just want to watch it, man. It's just so good. But before Rogue One, I watched the sequels, the Rey sequels. Yeah, that was wow. But at least now we're here at the Clone Wars. And just to start off with, I guess I'll get right into the first to episode 1 to 4 review. All right. So to start off with, episode 1 started off with Yoda, and I thought this was a great first episode. First of all, a lot of the times when I think of the Clone Wars, I don't think of this being the first episode, because it just feels so good. You know what I mean? Like the first episode, I normally associate with parts of the Clone Wars movies for whatever reason. Ahsoka being added to the squad, Obi-Wan committing war crimes, that sort of thing. But the first episode is where Yoda gets his 3 clone troopers, and they're tasked with alliancing with the Bug Boy. I don't remember the species, I don't remember the name, but they're tasked with, aligning with Bug Boy. And I think this episode is just like, it's perfect for a first episode. Not only was I not expecting it to be the first episode again, which I think is mainly a good thing, just because I didn't realize that like an episode that good was so early on, especially being the first one. I thought it was just great because Yoda was able to not only go against cheaters, but then he was able to stop the villain Asajj Ventress, which we got a nice little, I guess, first appearance in the episode, and to stop Asajj Ventress before she could do anything, and thwarted Dooku's plan, which we also got to see Dooku, I believe. It was either Dooku or Sidious, I think it was Dooku. So I think that was a cool aspect, already showcasing like the master and apprentice sort of, villainy. And then we have Yoda marching with 3 clones, taking down what is essentially an entire battalion of droids, which is just like a shit ton, and a tank or 2, a few tanks. I think there was 4 total, maybe 3. But I thought it was a really good showcase because Yoda was teaching the clones. You know, you got to think outside the box. Each one of them had a focus in combat, and Yoda was just trying to teach clones, literally people who are supposed to be the exact same from each other, um, trying to teach them to have some sort of individuality. You know, because everyone's an individual, and you should be able to accommodate your weakness. You know, so he's pointing out people's weaknesses or the clones' weaknesses, and he was able to, you know, get them to start really working outside of the box. I think he told one of them he needs to think more about, you know, not just the weapons. Weapons don't win battles, the mind does. And then he was able to figure out a plan to shoot like a bunch of boulders onto a bunch of droids. Stuff like that, where I think it's just like, listen, I know these shows are for kids, but man, is this show just perfect for kids because it just shows you everything you want your kid to learn. You know, you want your kid to learn that, you know, just because you look the same, just because you might be similar to some people, you know, maybe a bunch of white dudes growing up, you know, doesn't mean you can't have some sort of individuality, and it doesn't mean you can't have some sort of, you know, learning, growing process, learning what your weakness is and trying to work on it, you know, think outside the box, you know. And I really like this show because of that. Brings back fond memories from when I was a kid watching this show. But yeah, that's just something I had to say there, just because in my opinion, I just thought it was really good. Other than that, yeah, you get a good showcase of characters. You get to see the aliens flying around, little bug boys I can't remember the names of, but you get to see them flying around. And in my personal opinion, I thought it was cool. You know, I thought it was a great showcase of what Star Wars is. You know, you have three clones that are outnumbered, and Yoda teaches them how to, you know, really gain the advantage on a strong droid battalion. Some goofy comedy there as well. There's no comedy there that I thought was like shit. I haven't seen any episode yet where I thought the comedy was like bad. But moving on, just because it is 4 episodes, I thought episode 1 fucking amazing. I think it's like a 9 out of 10 episode. One of the better episodes, definitely for season 1. Now I know season 1 gets some cooking in the kitchen, but yeah, moving on, episode 2. What do we got here? This was when the Malevolence was showcased. Now, if you don't know, the Malevolence is a giant fucking warship. It looked to be like 4 times the length of a cruiser. And cruisers are those iconic ships, those fucking big Doritos, with the little red line in the middle. Now, we got to see Plo Koon and his fleet get absolutely fucking bent over, alright? And when the going went tough, it looked like Plo Koon and his crew were about to die. Yeah. They got fucked on. The Malevolence just shot a giant EMP. EMP, you know, shut off the ships, and then the Malevolence blew up the ships, and everyone escaped through pods. This was also where you get to see the first, I guess, real battalion of troopers, because I would consider episode 1 to have not necessarily the battalion. I mean, you had Jack and a few others, but you had like they had like a little bit of red on them. This is where you get to see the Wolf Troopers, which I believe at first it was brown. Their colors are brown. And then after this whole event, they actually changed their brown to gray. I believe is what happens. But most of their squad gets wiped out. Plo starts, you know, talking to the troopers, reassuring that everything's going to be all right. A lot of the troopers seem downtrodden. A lot of the troopers think they're not going to survive, basically, because they're just clones, you know. And why would the Republic ever hunt for clones? But this is where you get to see Anakin and Ahsoka, where you can see some sort of linked minds, I guess. They have the same sort of thought process, and why their master and Padawan dynamic actually works very, very well throughout the whole series, I'm sure. But I do think that it was a great showcase of just like there was a bunch of Jedi. You got to see Plo Koon, one of my personal favorite Jedis, just because of his visuals, like his voice, and he was really trying to hammer into the clones that they're not expendable, even though they are, you know, 1 in 6 million. You know what I mean? He was doing a really good job trying to help his clones sort of reassure that, hey, help may be coming. You know. You know, you had Anakin, Ahsoka, normally. they were disobeying orders as they normally do, and they were able to fly to where Plo Koon was in the wreckage and the salvage areas, and he was able to, or Anakin and Ahsoka were able to eventually pick up Plo and the crew, um, and we got to see that Plo is able to survive in space because of, I guess, the way his alien form is made. Genetic thing, genetic difference, I guess. But yeah, great episode. I thought it was perfect for another like really good episode for Star Wars. I thought it was easy 9 out of 10. Can't do any lower. You get to see General Grievous for the first time. You get to see Plo Koon, all the Jedi, and you get to see Wolf Squad, which is one of the most iconic. Goated episode. Episode 3, we had Plo Koon and Anakin with the Shadow Squad plan to attack the Malevolence. This episode was actually a little interesting because I forgot it was so early. Another one where I forgot it was so early, where they try to attack the Malevolence, and the whole plan is that Anakin takes a squad, they travel through a shortcut through hyperspace, and then they attack the Malevolence cockpit, which is where Grievous is, and the whole plan is just to take out Grievous. Now, you find out that the shortcut they take is not a very good shortcut, because they end up finding a bunch of creatures. Now, they didn't lose any members, but one of them got damaged, and later on, when the EMP is shot off of, once Grievous gets notification from Dooku, because Dooku gets a notification from Palpatine, and this is, I believe, the second time we see Palpatine. We saw him in episode 2, but he was the Chancellor, and he's got that creepy look. His dress is probably the weirdest thing out of all the episodes, like his weird puffy fucking weird dress. But if you look at his fingers, they literally look like fucking, you could pop them. Like when if you like poked his fucking, his knuckle that he has in his finger, it sounded like it would make that fucking pop noise when you push on bubble wrap. You know what I mean? It looked like that. But episode 3, really good. You got a showcase of how Anakin takes smaller squads to do riskier missions, and he typically looks for a shortcut. Didn't really work out the way Anakin wanted. He lost a lot of Shadow Squad members to an EMP because Grievous was notified from the Chancellor secretly. And you got to see Anakin, debate the moral decision with Ahsoka and Plo Koon, telling him, yo, maybe it's time we back out because you're the only one that can make it. So he backs out, and they destroy the weapon. And once the weapon is destroyed, it leaves them vulnerable. The cruisers can come in and take out the Malevolence. So, really liked it. They lost a lot of members. I think they lost 5 or 6 Shadow Squad members. It was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, another good episode. Probably like an 8. Isn't as good as the other ones, I would say, but really good episode. Got to see Palpatine on the comms, I think, for the first time. Dooku really hammering down with what's his name, Grievous. And then we move to the 4th episode, which these are all kind of linked in like a one after the other. 4th episode, you got Padme getting called to go do a dispute, and she shows up in the middle of the war between the Malevolence and the cruisers, and Grievous ends up capturing her. She was fed wrong information from Chancellor Palpatine. Then, when she gets boarded, she basically tells Anakin and the cruisers to continue fire. She doesn't want to be a bargain ship, which is pretty consistent with Padme's whole, I guess, vibe, So Padme, Giga Chad wants to go down with the ship. Doesn't end up going down with the ship. Anakin pulls fire. You get to see everyone kind of notice that Anakin is being a little too, lax, I guess, with Padme. So Anakin has a plan, boards the ship with R2 and Obi-Wan. And they basically, Obi-Wan's got the one side where he's fighting with Grievous. Anakin's got the other side where he's saving Padme. Nice little dynamic. Grievous ends up jumping around. They get on the car scene, or the train scene. Great fight scenes all around. Love the episode. Pretty good episode. Rescue Padme, get out. Overall, very cookie cutter in terms of, like, plot. At least, halfway through. But I thought it was pretty good. And then, ship being targeted to the moon because Anakin was able to use the navigation system to target the moon. And the Malevolence was just headed straight into the moon. So Grievous headed to bail. And then he shows a little bit of defiance when he's talking to Dooku, and he just hangs up the call. But yeah, that's pretty much where episode 4 left off of. I did watch episode 5. I'll probably make its own video because I thought that episode was perfect. But overall, I thought episode 4, I'd give it another 8 out of 10. Pretty cookie cutter in terms of, good guys are winning, something happens, bad guys get the upper hand, good guys have to go in, they still win, everything's fine. No sacrifice, nothing like that. So I thought it was good. Thought it was really good. But yeah, that's pretty much the review between episode 1 and 4. I did thoroughly enjoy this series. I thought the animation was going to look a little more janky than I thought. Actually looks pretty good considering it was made in 2008, almost 2 decades ago. Pretty good series so far. And as you can probably tell, this whole time I've had Maul on my screen just because he's my favorite character. Or one of my favorite characters, I should say. And can't wait for Maul's whole arc. I believe it's in season 2. I don't think I'll see him in season 1. But, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Now, would I recommend starting the Clone Wars start to finish? Probably not. If you're really itching for a Clone Wars, I would probably just rewatch season 7. That's the highest quality one. But I'm gonna rewatch them all because I'm a grinder, I know, pussy, But yeah, in all seriousness, I am gonna be watching every episode. It's gonna take me a long time until I'm able to finish them. But yeah, I'm gonna pump out reviews, see where these episodes are at. I'm not gonna be watching it every single day, but I'll watch it when I get the chance. Basically, is where I'm at. But yeah, that's all my thoughts and opinions. Episode 1 through 4, pretty much solid 8, 9s out of 10s minimum. Nothing really bad. Nothing really. There's not really a lot of filler. If you think about it, that's almost an hour and a half of footage, which is half of any of the Rey Skywalker movies. And I would rather watch this Malevolence thing than watch the Rey Skywalker movies ever again. All right. But yeah, just wanted to make that comparison. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Made it to the end. I want to thank you for watching. Maybe comment down below what your favorite episode is, if you feel like it. And yeah, as always, I hope you have a great day.